ji. As Kailash ji has already mentioned, we know each other for some time now. We met while I was serving with President Pranab Mukherjee, but I had heard of him much before. And let me say happy Vijayadashmi to each and every one of you. But even more important, what a wonderful occasion to welcome Mr. Satyarthi into our midst. Please give him a big hand of applause. Friends, you have heard his very passionate speech. You have watched the video. You have an idea of what he stands for and what he appeals to all of you. Let me just say that today Kailash ji is a star after the Nobel Prize, but in reality the decades of work which preceded it is what is important. When he had very few people who knew him, very few people who supported him, very few people who were willing to give him the resources to carry out the mission that he has pursued throughout his life. So the Nobel Prize is a conclusion of the decades of that endeavor. And each time we meet him, we read about him, what is needed for each one of us, wherever we come from in the world, but I would say especially those from India. We have to treat this as a wake-up call to us. This wake-up call is the sad reality that the children of the world have not got their due. That there is exploitation, that there is suffering, and there is children who are denied their childhood. If you would remember the movement that he heads, it is called Bachpan Bachao Andolan. It is to save the childhood of children. The Child Rights Convention of the United Nations is the convention which has been signed by the largest number of countries in the world. But if you look at the ground reality in all countries around the world, you will find that these provisions are far from completely implemented. And for us in India, I think sometimes we get inured. We are so used to seeing child labor. We are so used to seeing a picture from one of the films, workers working on construction sites with little children lying by the side without any protection, exposed to dust, exposed to the sun, exposed to rain. We hear reports about child molestation. We hear reports about rape of minors. So these are so many, and which you find coming from across the country, in other parts of the world also, but still as Indians I would say, I would echo his call that each one of you can make a difference. Each one of you can contribute to addressing this problem in society. In terms of when you go back, trying to make sure that wherever you see any discrimination, any kind of oppression of children or preventing children from accessing a good life, preventing children from going to school, please act in whatever manner you can. Please support activists like him in whatever manner we can. Today in India, you all know there is a big agitation going on in a temple in South India over women's access to temples. The Me Too movement has been rocking India, but child rights doesn't have that kind of visibility. Yes, women need much greater protection and security in our society. Women's rights are extremely important. We need to do much more, but equally important are children's rights, and sadly, children's rights do not have the visibility that it deserves. So each one of us must take it up as our individual duty, and our duty through whatever you do, in whatever forms of business. There might be traders who are importing goods from India. You could make sure that the goods that you import are not made of child labor. There are people who do business in India, who construct houses in India, who are engaged, who travel to India for pilgrimages. So each one of these occasions, when you engage with India, when you engage with any part of the world, if you see child labor, if you see exploitation of children, please try and do something to prevent it, to report to authorities, to act against it, to isolate the people who are responsible for that. And please do lobby with political leaders, with civil servants, with social activists for greater and greater protection for children. So let me just say 3 cheers to Mr. Kailash Satyarthi for the wonderful work that he has been doing. Let's all wish much greater success to him in his efforts, and let us try and help him in every way possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I just want to take a few moments to just thank you both. Sudeep, if you could please come. And Prashant. Sudeep ji, if you would give one to Kailash and Prashant for ICIA. To the ambassador, please. Then I'd like to ask Vinod Bhai to come up for Nia and give one to Mr. Satyarthi, please, on behalf of all of us. And I would like to ask Manu to come up on behalf of IBC and give it to the ambassador. We would like to
reenact that for the camera.
I would like to thank all of you for taking the time to come, and we've been so inspired by both these speakers that I hope that all of us walk away here to do our bit. And there'll be a moment now to have maybe speak to some of them again and have some drinks, and then we will close the program for today. Thank you very much.